All right, hi guys. I hope you are doing fine. So in this video, I will be making a recording on the fingerings of this beautiful yet easy instrument. The recorder is a very simple instrument, very powerful instrument also that you can use to make a lot of beautiful tunes from foreign tunes like to even common folk tunes like let's say. So we can do a lot and really do a lot. But for you to be able to play this, and say I played like two different keys, two songs, two keys. You can change the keys. You can change the keys for different songs. So this instrument, you can see it has how many holes? Seven, right? Seven or six? Seven holes. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Seven holes. So these seven holes can be used to play a wide range of notes, more than 12 notes. So and also there's a bottom hole, right? So which can be fully covered or partially covered. So when it's partially covered, it gives you higher notes. When it's fully covered, it gives you the lower notes. So when we get to different rings for different notes, we will see the beauty of coverings, fully and full and partial covering. And I have something special for you at the end. So maybe like a quick tip, bonus tip that to really aid you in your fingering. It's one that we tend to overlook quite a lot. So stick around and you get that tip. So for the note C, low C, which corresponds to the middle C of the keyboard, it's you cover all the seven holes, and this is how it sounds. You cover the seven holes and also the bottom hole totally or fully. Yeah, so that's how it sounds. So for the next notes we have is we have the C sharp. Now the C sharp is gotten, you cover the first three holes, cover the fourth hole, fifth hole, sixth hole totally, and the seventh hole you cover only the bigger hole. You can see the seventh hole has two holes, small and the big hole. You cover the big hole, the bigger hole, and you leave the smaller hole open to get the C sharp. So and you cover the bottom hole, right, fully. So this is what you should be getting if you cover the holes properly. It's slightly higher than the C. You can see this is C now. This is C sharp or D flat, C sharp or D flat. Cover this hole partially, the bigger hole partially, fully, sorry. Then the smaller hole you open it and you cover. But make sure you cover the bottom hole. Now for the next note is the D. D, you cover the six holes, first six holes. The last hole you will leave it open fully. So this is how D should sound. Make sure you cover your holes properly with the ball of your fingers, the ball here. So then the next note after the D is the E flat. E flat or D sharp, any name you want to call it, E flat, D sharp, they are both the same thing. So for the E flat note, you cover the first three holes, the fourth hole, the fifth hole, then you cover the bigger hole of this, just like how you did for C sharp. So you leave the smaller hole open, but you cover the bigger hole. So your D flat should sound like your E flat, sorry, your D sharp should sound like this. So the next note after the E flat is the E. The E, you cover the first three holes, fourth hole, the fifth hole. Don't forget to also cover the bottom hole. It should sound like this. After the E, you have the F. The F after E on the keyboard is F. So the F is gotten by covering the first three holes and the fourth hole, also the bottom hole too. So if covered properly, you should have your F should be sounding like this. The next note after the F is the F sharp or G flat. You cover these first three holes, 1, 2, 3. Then you leave this fourth hole open. Then this hole, you cover this next hole, you cover this, and you cover this. You can cover this. You can play the F sharp like this. You can remove it. Remove this last hole open. So either ways, I find this comfortable for me. Some people find this comfortable. This is how it sounds. So let's hear how it sounds if I remove the last hole. You can see the difference isn't really much. So next note after the F is G. You have G is formed by covering these first three holes. Sorry. This is G. So this is G. So the next note after the G, you have the A flat, or you call it the G sharp, another name, G sharp or A flat. The A flat or G sharp is gotten by you cover this first hole, cover this hole, you skip this third hole, cover this, you cover this, and for this you cover this. Then for this sixth hole, you don't cover it fully, you cover the bigger hole. You cover the bigger hole, you don't cover the full sixth hole, the two holes of the sixth hole. You cover the bigger hole. So if covered properly, you don't forget you also cover the bottom hole. If covered properly, this is how it should sound. The next hole is the A. A is simply gotten by covering just the first two holes and bottom hole also. Now the next hole is very, very important, especially when you want to play for key F, because key F, F, G, C, those are very common keys in music. C, C sharp. But these keys, this note after the A is called the A sharp or B flat, most commonly called the B flat. B flat is obtained. Now you have to be very careful here, because this is that's a very funny fingering. So this B flat is obtained by covering this first hole, skipping the second hole, covering this third hole, and covering this fourth hole, and also the bottom hole. So you cover the first, skip the second, cover the third, then you cover the fourth. This is how it should be. I don't know. Okay, sorry, it's better like this. And so you skip the second hole, cover the fourth, but you also cover the bottom. So it should sound like this. That's your B flat. The next note after the B flat is the B. B is just simply made by covering only the first hole and also the bottom too. The first hole and the bottom. And now from here we are going to more intricate fingerings. Not really more intricate, but you have to be more careful here, because we are going to another octave after the B, because the next note after the B is the C. So after the B, which I just played, right, is C on the keyboard, the high C. C is covered. You get C by covering the second hole, just only the second and the bottom hole. This is how it should look like, second and the bottom hole. This is the fingering for it, second and the bottom. So if you finger it correct, please cover the holes totally. The bottom hole is covered totally, not partially. Cover totally. The second hole is covered totally too. It should sound like this. That is how it should sound. This is for the high C. The next note after, now you have to be very careful from this point on. Next note after the C is called C sharp, just like how we did the C sharp. This is the high C sharp now, not the low C sharp. And the C sharp note is obtained by covering just the first hole and the second hole, but the bottom hole is open, fully open. You cover only the first two holes, so you should have the C sharp sounding like this. C sharp, high C sharp. Then the next note after the high C sharp is the D. So you obtain the D by just covering only the second hole. Open the bottom hole, just only the second hole, only the second hole. It's very easy, right? So the next note after the D is the E flat or D sharp, just like how we did for the low. So this is the for the low E sharp or D sharp or E flat. Now this one is called the high E flat or high D sharp. It's obtained by covering the second hole, the third hole. You don't cover the first hole. You cover the second, third, the fourth, fifth, and the sixth. Second, third, fifth, and sixth. So it should sound like this. That's for E flat. The next note after the E flat is E again, same cycle. E is just simply, now E has the same fingering with the low E. The high E has the same fingering with the low E. However, the only difference is the covering of the bottom hole. The fingering, the bottom hole covering, rather. So the bottom hole, now, in the low E it was fully covered. On the high E is going to be partially covered. Partial covering. It's going to be partial. I don't know if you can see it. Instead of fully covering it, you partially cover it. So for the low E, low E sounded like this. We covered the five holes, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5 fully, and also the bottom hole fully. That was for the low E, and it sounded like this. But for the high E, you cover the 1 2 3 4 5, but you cover the bottom hole partially, and it should sound like this. You can see the difference. It's just due to the covering of the bottom hole. That is the partial and full covering of the bottom hole. That's just the difference between the low E and the high E. The same thing applies to the F, the high F, and the low F. The high F is played with the partial covering of the bottom hole. The low F is. You can hear the difference, right? So I'll be stopping here for this video. Say if the higher fingerings, we can also have high G, just a low G is like this, full covering of the bottom, high G, partial covering of the bottom. So it's the fingering patterns it's just the high and lows. I really just depends on how you cover the bottom hole. But however, high B, high C, high B, high C have different fingerings. You just have to be careful on how to do that. So the tip I really wanted to share with you guys, it's that for every record that you buy, if you are very observant, you have a paper that comes along with it, and the paper contains the fingering patterns for the different notes. You can even you see the fingering patterns for even the higher C sharp. Then as we have highs, we had high C, there's higher C, right, which sounds like this. So you can see. So when you go through that piece of paper, you will see the fingerings. Learn those fingerings. They can help you in your journey. And when you learn those fingerings from there, all the fingerings I've shown you, also you'll see those fingerings there. And also for higher, more advanced one, you use the advanced one for advanced pieces. But the ones I have shown you in this video, you can use them for like everyday songs. So learn the fingerings, and very soon you start playing songs like thanks for watching.